Hello and welcome to today's episode of Thrive After 45. I'm Denise Drinkwalter, heart whisperer, midlife mirror, and mentor. Every week, I am honored to share energy and space with inspiring guests whose stories reflect so many possibilities of thriving beyond 45. Together, we'll uncover the whispers of the heart, the power of midlife transformation, and the wisdom that fuels expansion. What does flying planes, channeling spirit, and launching a wine label have in common? More than you may think. Today's guest embodies what it means to live courageously, follow synchronicities, and weave a life that blends purpose with possibility. It is such an honor and a privilege to welcome back and introduce Kristen Swinehart to our show today. I looked up my notes, and Kristen was on my YouTube channel. I had her as a guest back in May of 2023. And when I shared that before we came on live, we both went, "What? It's been that long?" Because I was shocked too. I thought it's maybe a year. Time flies, people. So let this be lesson number one. Take each day as we get it. Kristen's path has been anything but ordinary, from practicing law to flying the skies as a flight attendant and ultimately stepping fully into her calling as a gifted medium. Kristen has walked through reinvention with grace and fierce trust. Along the way, she's navigated deep personal loss, embraced the unknown, and allowed spirit to guide her toward alignment and meaning. Known as the flying medium, Kristen is a channel, author, and the founder of Aviera, a space where luxury travel and spiritual connection meet. For more than 6 years, she's helped over 1,000 spiritual seekers move from stuck and uncertain to clear, connected, and empowered. Whether through private sessions, group events, or her speaking engagements, Kristen's work ripples far beyond the people she meets directly, igniting that intuition and healing across countless lives. What makes her story even more extraordinary is she continues to expand her horizons literally as she trains to become a pilot, launches her new mentorship program, prepares for the release of her upcoming book, and even unveils her very own wine label. Kristen is creating experiences that are as elevated as they are soul led. I cannot wait for you to hear her wisdom, her stories, and her vision for what's next. Kristen, welcome to Thrive After 45.
Wow, thank you, Denise. That was quite the introduction. And I haven't been, you're the first person to interview me since all of those things have come together. So to listen to it was like, whoa, who is she talking about? Oh, oh my God, that's me. So thank you.
Well, I am absolutely amazed because 2 years is a long time, but I'm also looking at it going, but it wasn't that long ago. And I know I watch your stories all the time on IG, and I'm like, she's doing what? What? And eventually I'm like, I have to reach out and say, Kristen, I think we need to reconnect because there are things that are shifting in your world very rapidly. Is that fairly new for you, or is that something that you've experienced over time?
So I would say that when I'm in alignment, and I think that this is true really for most people, is that when you're in alignment, things can happen really quickly if you
Mm.
allow them to happen very quickly. I mean, certainly we can slow it down, like, oh no, no, I'm not ready, or and when you really feel, or I should say, when I really feel like an alignment, it's like, yeah, let's do this. The faster we can do this, the better. And so really the book and the wine and even just flying. So I started flying lessons a couple months ago, and this is the thing that I've been wanting to do for so long. But I realized that when I stepped into that, it's when these other opportunities showed up too. So once I started flying, then the wine opportunity showed up and then the book. And this has been like, we're talking like just a couple months that all that has happened, or even like weeks. Some of it's happened so fast. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I'm like, I can't believe I'm adding one more thing onto my plate. And I sometimes work better when I have lots of things going on. And this
Mm.
isn't all separate lanes, they are actually all interwoven. So it's really exciting for me.
Tell us more about how they're interwoven because I did share that a little bit in the intro, but I'm like, let's dig in and find out more what that means. Yeah.
Sure. So flying, I'm a flight attendant, but I became a flight attendant because I really wanted to see if I like the lifestyle because I want to be a pilot.
Gotcha.
And so I'll end up getting to meet all kinds of people all over the country and do mediumship readings, whether that's with flight attendants I meet, or maybe I'm, in a restaurant in St. Louis, end up giving readings. So I've been connecting with a lot of people all over the country. One of the things that I found a little bit challenging with mediumship is that it's not exactly a door opener. But somebody,
Right.
like people are like, wait, what? You talk to the dead? Like you either have to be looking for that or fully understand, or you're like running to the hills, like get me away from this crazy lady. I don't know what's happening? That's cool too. Um, but then when somebody approached me about the wine piece, I thought, oh, this is brilliant because it's like a luxury door opener. It's at least a conversation starter in a lot of circles where it could be harder to get into. So that to me is like kind of a door opener. People get to kind of know the wine, get to know me, understand more of the layering. And what I found is as I've been sharing about the wine, and people are like, well, what do you know about wine? And I'm like, well, not a whole lot, but I'm learning as I go. And I'm working with people who know a whole
Of
lot.
course.
Um, and when they find out my background, that's when it gets really interesting to them because they're like, wait, you've done all that and now you're doing this. So that's kind of how it's expanding together. And then the book is like recounting all these stories that even got me here and how it's all kind of tied together. And so ultimately, my plan is to do book and bottle launch parties where I'm selling the wine and my book together.
Of course. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant plan. Absolutely. When was the first time, and I know we talked about this 2.5 years ago, but when was the first time you knew there's something different that is coming through me and this isn't normal? And what did you do with it?
I mean, my entire life, I've always felt like a bit of an outsider. I'd even be like, yeah, I felt like the weird kid that I never really fit in.
Mm,
Weird because I wasn't isolated. I actually got along with most people, right? So it was like I felt different, and yet people were liked me.
yeah,
So I was like, well, this is weird. But when my dad died when I was 18, I just couldn't understand that that was it. I'm like, we just die and that's it. Like, we'll never talk to them again. We'll never see them again. Like, this does not make any sense. And so when I started practicing law, probably about 25 years old, and I hated it. And I was like, oh, so now we do this job you hate and then you die? Like this is makes no sense. And that was really the start of this big personal and spiritual development journey for me. So a little over 6 years ago, was doing like a ceremony with a Peruvian shaman, and in that, I realized I had information about one of the participants' grandmothers who I'd never met. And that's when I was like, whoa, how would I know that? And I asked the shaman, I'm like, you think there's any chance I'm a medium? And he said yes. And so then this was right before COVID. When COVID started, I just
mm,
was like learning and trying to understand it. I was calling up friends and like, hey, let's try this out. Let's see if we can connect to your grandma, whatever it was. And so there's just evidence and information that comes through that there's no chance I would know. And most of the time I'm working with people I don't know. So,
right.
you know,
Exactly. Yeah. So tell us about your luxury Aviera. Did I say it right?
Aviera. Yeah. It's the
Okay.
first time I've like put it out there, but it was came to me channeled and I was like, all right, Aviera is going to be a luxury lifestyle brand. So that's where it came from.
And so, how do people find it? How do people f find Aviera and what does it include?
So right now I'm actually still building out some of this, but it's going to be more like one-on-one to mentorship. I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be VIP days or longer coaching. It might be a little bit of both. But really, this is to help people tap into your own intuitive gifts. And that's really the types
Mm,
of people that enjoy working with are people that already know they have gifts or or it feels like there's something else, but they're not quite sure what to do with it, right? Like, I'm not here to convince somebody that, hey, you could be a spiritual person. There's enough people that already know, like, hey, I think I have something, right?
Right.
So I like working with those types of people and just helping develop further. And I find that that's when my channel is the strongest, is that I bring through really powerful information to support them in the growth and transformation of whatever it is that they may or may not be looking for. Like, I was not looking to create a wine label. I've been told
Right.
to write a book. I didn't really think I was going to write a book, and so sometimes it's these opportunities and things where it's like, if I can receive that information and support somebody with that and help them along the way, that's what I really want them to do. Because at the end of the day, I feel really grateful that I've had a lot of opportunities to try all kinds of things.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's what ultimately it's going to be, is helping spiritual people who are already starting on the path, or at least curious about it and want support along those ways. And maybe it's looking that they're transitioning out of a career, or maybe they're, I don't know, looking to add something else in their life. Who knows?
Right. Or they've had an experience and they're like, this is not leaving. Like there's something that happened and I can't put words to it, but there's something, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that for so long I felt like I was a bit alone, or didn't know what was going on, or how you navigate this, or just felt like I was wandering aimlessly through the world, And so to be able to support other people, and I've encountered that with people I've worked with, they're like, "Oh, you speak the same language that I speak, and I finally have somebody that I can talk to about this." I mean, just the other day I was having a conversation with a 24-year-old, and she's like, "Yeah, I see colors around people, but I don't really know what to do with it." And I'm like, "Oh, I can help you."
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, so good. So good. Do you find that people attract just it's a natural, you don't have to go out and go, I'm checking these people out like they just swarm to you, as it were?
I think it's been a process. If I'm in the right frequency and vibration, right, I'm
Yeah.
in what I'm going to attract in. And so to me, it's really important. I mean, look, I had my definite fair share of attracting narcissists in every form and fashion, men, women, children. I don't know, right? Like, it was like, hey, narcissist, come here, big billboard. So I've been releasing that because that's not fun. And
Right.
yeah, really tuning into the frequency of like, all right, I do want to help spiritual seekers. And even like just this weekend, I met a girl who's 33 and questioning her career and what's next. And so to me, it's kind of funny. I saw my 24-year-old self, I saw my 33-year-old self, and now I'm in a position where I can help them and say, oh my God, I can help you like save 10 years of your life. Um, so yes, I do believe that we can attract in what it is that we're seeking. We just have to be very conscious of what frequency we're operating from.
And can you shift your frequency or how does
Yeah,
that work?
yeah. So to me, it's about feeling, and I follow a lot of Abraham Hicks, Esther
Yep.
Abraham
Yep.
Hicks, a lot of that. So it's all about like fear and anger are a lower vibration and a lower frequency. So
Yeah.
if I start to feel fearful or angry, that's what I'm going to attract. But if I can even just get myself a step above, like even just being like, even just kind of okay, then that's better. But if you can get yourself into love and joy, and even like, I know sometimes it sounds so cheesy, but like thinking about something you're grateful for, or, and then you can start to feel that. And as you feel those different
Hmm.
feelings, it actually raises your vibration and your frequency. So that is how I do it. Because, like if
Hmm.
I got on a walk, I'm like, all right, let me just tune in. Let me be even more grateful. And it's like you can just turn that volume up on that emotion.
Right. And then as you do that, like, is that when things come down, download, people call it, the opportunities present themselves more?
I
Or,
say so. Like, I'm not like just sitting here on the couch, like waiting
yeah.
for to call me. Like, okay, that'd be super cool if I could do that, but I don't think it's gonna. I mean, maybe I don't know. Never say never, right? It could happen. Maybe one.
Right?
You don't know. um, but I think it is. It's like getting into that feeling and then going, like doing the things that you really enjoy. And sometimes we think like, oh, I can't make money doing that, or I can't. Yeah, but what if you could, right? What if you could make money doing the things? And so, and then taking those aligned actions. I'm not saying you have to, like, I didn't know how to write a book, but I figured I could write some stories initially and then go back and fill it in. And then when I'm finally doing that, it just flows right out, right? Or
Right.
um, kind of with the wine opportunity, somebody approached me about it and it felt like, oh yeah, I got to follow this
Mm,
nudge. And so it's like tuning into that intuitive piece. And I think that so often it's easy to logic our way out of it, especially if you're
yes.
a lawyer, left brainer, anybody, right?
Yes.
Or just as a society, sometimes I think we've been trained to like not trust that we have a sixth sense, but we really do.
Mhm. Yeah. You- You're speaking our language, and the reason why it's so powerful and empowering for our Thrive After 45 show is because that's what we talk about all the time, supporting our women to put down the I need to do this. This is the way it's supposed to be. I have this on my plate. This is everything else first and then yourself last. And what you're saying very loud and clear for those of us who are hearing is that when we step into our own joy, our own connection to peace, gratitude, just being okay with everything that we do have that is positive in our lives, as an example, things can start shifting and it can start happening very quickly. We're not saying you're going to go out and be a pilot. What we're saying is take that time for you, by you, because of you, because nobody else can give it to you, right? You've got to do it for yourself.
Yeah, and I think like I was listening to something the other day from somebody I follow who's a channel as well, and it's like, what is that thing for you? Like, is it making cookies with your kids or your grandkids or just having the freedom? And it's true. You don't have to run out and be a pilot or say, like I don't have this whatever. Like that's okay. But what is it for you? What is it that brings you joy? And then in from that place is where you can create so much more.
Yeah. And the other thing that I find, and I love that people are coming to you. I love that you shared the ages 24, 33. People are starting to look at, well, there's something, but I don't know what it is, much younger. When I look at when I was 20, 24, my life was very different, rightly so. However, I'm not sure I would have tuned into when I sit here at my wonderful age of 61 and look back in time, I can link, I can see the thread that exists through time. But being in those moments, I wasn't capable of doing it because I was in the busy life, right? So taking this time and actually slowing things down and recognizing and witnessing awareness, I think, is really a key starting point. And what you're doing, so grateful because this opportunity for people to connect with you in this luxury brand that you're creating is going to elevate the universe because you're going to help mirror back what people aren't understanding that's deep within them. I love that.
Yes, thank you. And you mentioned the luxury piece, and I didn't touch on it fully before, is that the luxury component, why I put this in here to me is because I've done a lot of spiritual and personal development work that has been like in some little hut that's been dirty. And I'm not saying you can't have like you have really powerful experiences there, but I'd prefer not to roll around in the dirt. Like I don't know. If I don't need to, and so for me, it's like we do get to live in luxury and an elevated lifestyle. And again, that's all like frequency and vibration. So if I can support somebody through personal transformation at a higher, more luxurious way that makes them
Right,
feel good, we're going to get there twice as fast.
right.
So that's why, and who doesn't like a good spa day or, just to really enjoy it. And to me, it's like, I've always been like, well, maybe one day I'll get to live a life like that until you just decide,
Mhm.
like, no, I want to start living like that now.
Yeah.
I don't need to wait for one day.
And isn't that true? Because we don't know when our last one day will be.
And that's the
S-
thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for one day. Like I just was reading the other day on something and I kind of chuckled because I used to save like my better clothes or my better shoes for like an event. But if I never had, it's like, what am I doing? Like it's even small stuff. We're like, what? We wear that now. Who cares?
Yeah. Put the good china out now if people do that anymore, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not waiting for that day. Today's the day because it gets to be. Yeah. I
Mhm.
love that. I love that. Um, if you look back, you kind of alluded to it already, but we look at you were once a lawyer, right? Not that long ago, but you were once a lawyer.
Now it's like 20 years ago.
Okay.
Seriously, it's been a while.
So
Yeah.
there. How long were you lawyering?
I mean, I only practiced for probably like a little over a year. I just
Yep.
really did not like it, and I didn't know at the time I was an empath. So talk about like feeling
Ah,
exhausted at 25, taking home everybody else's problems. I'm like, oh, this. I don't want to die by the time I'm 27 because I'm just carrying everybody's garbage with me.
yeah. Yes, for
So
sure. Yeah.
got out pretty quick.
Yeah. Okay. Flight attendant, medium, training to be a pilot. You look back in that thread, what is weaving all of those chapters together?
It's probably my 8-year-old self. I
Mm,
for a kid in my class, his mom was a flight attendant, and I thought, oh, that's got to be such a great job because you get to travel. And I've always just been really passionate about travel. I think it's part of what's in my soul.
hmm.
Um, so that was always really interesting to me. But I also knew I had kind of this lawyer path. And even in college, I would talk to every single pilot anytime I flew because I was so interested. Like I probably should have just been like, let me become a pilot now, but I kind of didn't know how or it's like one of those things where if you don't know how and you haven't seen it, so
Yeah,
I kind of um and then gosh, when I was doing just mediumship full time and I was like, well, it'd be really cool if I could fly and do in-person groups. And if I was a flight attendant, then I could fly for free. So I could go anywhere in the country at any point, which I can do. So if anybody ever has a group where you would want me to come in person, like that's why I became a flight attendant. And then I also was secretly like, and let me see if I like this lifestyle because then maybe I'll go pursue the pilot path. But I want to make sure that I can live like this because I'm not spending more money and time on education. Let's get real clear about that.
yeah, yeah.
And so that's kind of what tied it together. And I think the biggest aha moment I had was that my being a flight attendant wasn't just to do those duties, it was to encounter so many more people. And I had an
Mm.
experience with a reading with one of the captains, actually. And there was something just really profound that happened. And he called me, as I'm sitting on my jump seat, and he called and told me that, some of the information that had happened based upon a reading I had given like the crew at dinner the night before. I mean, this is hilarious, right? I'm like sitting with a crew giving readings because they wanted them. And this is what I'm doing while I'm, after after flying all day. But when he gave me that information and I'm like sitting there looking at a plane full of passengers and I heard, you're a medium in flight attendant's clothes. And that's when I really got it. I was like, oh, Spirit, you're brilliant. You have me interacting with people all day, every day, people I would never encounter. And that's why I'm here. And so that was really, that's, I think, the thread where it ties it all together. And of course, I love travel. And now the pilot piece is, you know, cherry on the cake.
Of course, of course. It all, you can see how it all sews together,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
I got chills when you shared that. Just saying.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, where does a wine label fit into all this? Again, just a door opener and something fun. That's the other thing. I'm not 45 yet, but real soon, 44. And I would say most of my life has been like hard work, hustle, do it this way. You don't do projects that are fun because fun doesn't make money. This whole, and now all of a sudden I'm like, the minute I switched into wine, which has been fun, is when the book finally, I mean, for years, people have been telling me I need to write a book, years. And then finally I do something fun. And now I have the inspiration and the creativity to write this book. So I would say the other piece I have learned real recently is like go into the projects that are fun because it might actually help create a lot of other things that have been there waiting, but the fun is the piece that unlocks it.
I love that. I love that. And how do you stop that human voice from interfering? Is that just a practice that you work on over time, that you just silence the narrative in the brain going, well, come on, you can't do that. Whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it ever, I mean, maybe you can totally silence it. In my opinion, that feels like if I try to silence it and stuff it down, it's going to come up like screaming at me, right? So sometimes it's just having the awareness. And this is how I meditate too. When a thought comes in, it's like, oh, interesting, thinking that thought, let that go. So it's the same thing when something comes in and it's like, you can't do that, whatever. And typically the voice that is like yelling at you or being negative, like that's not your higher self. Your higher self is not
Right,
coming on here to be like nasty to you, right?
right.
So you're like, oh, there's that. And I've heard some people like will name that voice, give it a name. So it's like, oh, look, Kathy's here. Thanks, Kathy.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just paying attention to it and just having the awareness that it's even there. Because sometimes we just berate ourselves. Like,
Oh,
whoa,
yeah.
what is going on?
Hmm. Yeah. You mentioned about the relationships that you've had over time that haven't always been giving. Let's just put it that way. Um, do you believe, and I'm just throwing this out there because it's a belief of mine, so I'm putting it out there and it might not be your belief and absolutely fine, but I believe that when there's an important lesson in our journey, it keeps showing up, sometimes bigger, wider, deeper, because nope, you're not quite getting it, sister. We're going to keep trying until you go, oh, thank you. There it is. Do you believe that? Do you not believe that? What's coming up for you?
Yeah, I've heard this analogy where it's like you kind of get hit with a pencil, and then it's like it gets a little bit like a stick, and then soon it's like finally like a 2x4 hitting you over the head. Like I'd prefer to now learn my lessons with a pencil, because sometimes it's like it's so extreme and dramatic if you haven't caught that lesson, and maybe sometimes it has to be that big, right? Because then you just are like, okay, I never want to experience that again. So yes, I believe it can continue to show up. And that's a great question. I'm going to go back and think like, how did I not recognize this sooner? Or what could I have done differently moving forward that I recognize it? And what did I get out of having such a dramatic end to that whole experience?
Well, and your question at the end there, what did that give me by doing it that way, is an interesting one. I've got a book that I read called Existential Kink, and she talks a lot about what you are experiencing, and you keep going down the road that you say you hate it, but it's almost like a need. And until you uncovered what that need is, that situation is giving back to you, it'll continue to exist. But it exists for a reason. It's like, how do you uncover it? I'm going to have her on the show. So I'll send you the show notes when after we have our conversation. But it's so interesting to me how that, and it made sense to me, like, what is it that I am getting out of this that's making me not clue in, even though I say, well, I hate this. This is bothering me. Rah, 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 and yet you still hit the wall.
And I think for me, like I look and I'm like, oh, it was familiar, right? It was like a pattern that I had learned throughout my life. So it was the pattern that I knew, even though I didn't like it. It was like, oh, this is all I know. I didn't realize at the time, but it's like, oh, but this is all I know. So of course I'm going to go down this path.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank heavens you have done what you have done and continue to expand and grow in the ways that you are, because that's really who Kristen Swinehart is. She is the medium and more, way more than just, and I say just in quotes, a medium, because that in itself is a massive gift that you are giving to the world. So I am so grateful, not only for this conversation, but for our reconnection and for the opportunity that's existing for our listeners to be able to reach out, find you, and watch your story as things continue to unfold. Kristen, what is next for you?
Next for me is going to be the release of the book and the wine, and probably within about the same time frame. So I would never even think that I could be saying that. And then certainly also the launch of these new one-on-one connections, whether that is VIP days or longer term coaching. I really feel like I've uncovered what I've been looking for, at least for now, for a very long time.
Yeah.
In a couple of months or whatever, right? But that's how it's like ever evolving is like I've learned as I've been continuing to do this. And so for right now, I'm really excited with where everything is and to be able to support people again on a much deeper level.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Is there anything that you want to say to our audience as we close off this incredible conversation?
I just feel like If you have some nudge that's inside of you that is like whispering to you about something you want to do, something you've been thinking about doing, it can be small, it can be large, but just taking a step, whether that's researching it a little bit or calling somebody that you've thought about, to me, this is how it all begins. And if you've got that voice in there, there's a reason for it. Like you didn't come here to not follow that. So I would encourage you to take a step because you just don't know what is possible.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time, energy, and expertise in so many ways. I'm going to continue to follow you, and maybe in a couple years we'll reconnect. Maybe I'll be on a flight somewhere with you, sister,
That'd be awesome.
and having wine and reading your book. That'll be the next part.
Sounds great.
And who knows what else. I love it. Thank you again for being here and sharing so much growth and opportunity that exists for all of us when we listen from deep within. Take that time, be aware, and tune in for you, by you, because of you. What activated in you today? Claim your sovereignty. Me Academy expands you.